First grade babies, second grade tots, third grade angels, fourth grade snots, fifth grade peaches, sixth grade plums, and all the rest are dirty bums. I heard that rhyme for the first time on my very first day of school, which in Meade County, Kentucky at Flaherty Elementary was the first day of first grade. I'm not sure who started the rhyme. It could have been Snots. They were proud of themselves. It might have been the Peaches, might have been the Plums. But I don't believe it was the Dirty Bums, because if memory serves me correctly, the Dirty Bums were much too old for recess. But that rhyme was going day after day, recess after recess, and it was loud. First grade babies, second grade tots.
Long before men started recording history, stories have existed. The act of storytelling has taken on many different forms, including cave paintings, books, movies, and music. However, one of the oldest forms of storytelling is oral storytelling, and this method continues to fascinate audiences today. We are fortunate to have the well-known and recognized storyteller, Mary Hamilton, in our community of Frankfort, Kentucky. She grew up on a farm in Meade County, Kentucky, where she was one of 6 children born to Robert F. Hamilton, a farmer, and Martha Jane Hamilton, a nurse. Her brothers and sisters are Jeff, David, Alan, Steve, and Pat. Miss Hamilton went to school at Flaherty Elementary for grades 1st through 11. For 12th grade, she attended Meade County High School. After graduating from high school, she attended the University of Kentucky. She married a man named Charles Wright, with whom she has been married 21 years. Mr. Wright is a retired state government employee and is the reason why Miss Hamilton moved to Frankfort. Both Mary and her husband are avid readers and actually work together on one of her many projects called Buggy Kentucky, where they combine storytelling with factual information about bugs. Miss Hamilton, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We're here going to be asking you some questions today. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Where do you get the inspirations for your stories?
I read a great deal, and my favorite place in the library to find books to read is in the 398.2 section. That's where all the folk tales and the fairy tales can be found, and those are my favorite stories to tell. So most of my inspiration does come from reading folk tales and fairy tales.
I like folk tales and fairy tales too.
They're wonderful.
And what training did you have to take to become a storyteller?
Well, storytelling does not require any particular training. So, although it didn't require any training, one of the things that I've done and still do is when I hear about a workshop being offered by a storyteller whose work I really admire, I will go and take that workshop so that I can learn from that person. So I think of myself as sort of a lifelong learner where storytelling is concerned, because there's always something new to find out.
Do you ever get nervous presenting your stories to large audiences?
Always. Always. I even felt a little nervous before coming here, because this is something that I don't do very often. But what I've learned is that butterfly kind of feeling, that little added sense of, what's going to happen, that is really just adrenaline kicking in to help me do a better job, because I care.
Yes.
Now, I've learned little tips.
Uh-huh.
Like, for instance, if you close your mouth right now and you wiggle your tongue around inside your mouth. You don't even move your mouth, just move your tongue. What's happening inside your mouth? What are you doing? What's happening in there?
It's just...
Is it getting wet?
Yeah.
Yes, because you're making saliva. And one thing that people often get afraid of, they think, oh my gosh, my mouth is going to get so dry. What am I going to do? Well, now you know what to do. Move your tongue around inside your mouth. You will create saliva, and voila, you no longer have a dry mouth. So I've learned little things like that.
Can you explain your style of storytelling through just talking?
When I say I'm a just talking kind of storyteller, what I mean by that is that I don't use props or costumes or anything like that, so I'm dressed like an ordinary person, and I want the audience to have that sense of, here's just an ordinary person talking about life. whether it's about my life through a personal story or whether it's about, Cinderella's life if I'm telling Cinderella, that it's just like you're sitting down and having a little chat with somebody.
You present stories in various formats such as a storyteller, a writer of stories, and a presenter. Which do you prefer and why?
My preference is the face-to-face storytelling, and the reason I prefer that is because to me that is really storytelling.
Yeah.
Because storytelling, you need a story, you need a storyteller, and you need an audience. So with all three together, they can influence each other. I can watch the audience. If they look at me like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I can change it, or I can go back and tell that part again with different words to make sure that they do understand before I move on.
What suggestions do you have for children who might be interested in becoming a storyteller, especially since your talent was not always welcomed in your classroom as you were a child?
Well, I do wish that my teachers had given us opportunities to actually tell stories, and they did, but we were supposed to always tell the truth, and I couldn't always do that. Yeah. So I think probably the best advice I've got is make it clear when you're telling the truth, stick with it, and when you're not telling the truth, well, admit it.
How has your method of storytelling changed over the years due to experience?
When I first began to tell stories, I think that a lot more of my attention was about me. How am I doing? Am I remembering the story? Am I doing what I intend to be doing? Am I finding my way all the way through it? So I think that in my mind, I was paying a lot of attention to me. And over the years, I've learned that the people to really pay attention to when I'm telling the story are the listeners, because the listeners will let me know how the story's going. Is it making sense? Am I finding my way through it in a way that matters to them? And they're the important people. So I think when I first started, I thought I was the important person.
Yeah.
And now I've learned I'm not the important person. The audience, that's the important people. They're the real reason to be telling the story. It's not so people can come watch me. It's so they can hear a great story. So that's been the biggest change, where I really put my attention during the telling.
Did you know that when she went to college, she wanted to be a teacher? This is actually very interesting since she didn't have the best experience as a student. She even got punished for telling stories in class, which could have hindered her talent.
She went on to teach high school English for a time. After teaching, she was a children's librarian at the public library. But her real passion is storytelling, and she knew she wanted to be a storyteller. She focuses her attention on her style of just talking storytelling and bases her stories off true experiences and stories that she reads.
Although she is known for her oral storytelling, Miss Hamilton has also published a book called Kentucky Folktales. In addition, she currently works for the Kentucky Arts Council, where she is actively helping to improve formative assessments for students.
All of this hard work has paid off, and Mary has received recognition for her contributions to the field of storytelling. She has received the Colleen Sally Storytelling Award from the University of Southern Mississippi, the Jessie Stewart Media Award from the Kentucky School Media Association, and the Circle of Excellence Oracle Award from the National Storytelling Network. Are you impressed yet? We are. Mary Hamilton is helping to keep stories alive in our community and beyond. We appreciate all that she has done in the name of storytelling. Here's a sneak peek. Take a look.
Tansabana wine, there lived a gore pearl named Rindersella. Now, Rindersella lived with her stick-it-wet mother and her two stubborn-acting stepsisters. One morning, a messenger from the Ming arrived, and the Ming's messenger said, "Year-hee, all are invited to a Drancy Fest ball. At the Drancy Fest ball, the Prince of Hints hopes to find his bride." Oh, Rindersella's two stugly-acting stepsisters were very excited. Spoonerisms, just so you know, are when the initial sounds get swapped. Like instead of saying wicked stepmother, sticked wet mother. Instead of saying Cinderella, Rindersella. And so that's what was going on there, a spoonerized version of Cinderella.